What's up, journeyers? Welcome to today's Tuesday live training. Happy that you are here with me. All right. So, oh my gosh, I was just checking to see how hot it is, and it is, whew. So I was gonna say, forgive my, I'm sweaty, and my hair is all the frizzy today because it is 88 degrees outside. And I did not miss the heat and humidity when I lived in Colorado. I love South Carolina, but oh my goodness. So happy that you guys are here. When you jump on, say hi. Tell me how your Tuesday's going. What's your favorite thing about today so far? Hi, Rashma. What has been your favorite thing about Tuesday so far? Mine is just that after this, I get to take a nap. So I lost my voice after last week's workshop. So if I clear my throat 4 million times, I apologize. So, okay, I'm excited for today. Today we are talking about, yay, you guys are relaxed today. Good. So today we're talking about risk versus reward and how to know a good investment when you see it. And I'm excited about this because I think there's a lot of questions around investing, whether it's investing in the market, investing in a purchase, investing in yourself. And it's really important that you kind of know what you're looking at, right? That you know what you're looking at, that you know what you're looking for when you think about whether something is a good investment. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is risk. Risk is inherent in all decision making. There's risk involved in all decisions that you make. There's a risk involved in the decision of what you eat for dinner. There's risk involved in what you wear. There's risk involved in what kind of job you choose to take. There's risk involved in how you spend your money. There is risk involved in every single decision that you make. And risk lives on a spectrum. So risk goes anywhere from the super low end, low risk, where it's what we call opportunity cost. So opportunity cost at the lower end of the spectrum is simply the idea that you could have done something else, right? That every decision has an opportunity cost. Every decision to do one thing is a decision not to do other things. And so the opportunity cost is just saying, hey, you know what? By choosing to do this, then you can't, by design, do something else. Okay, so the best example of this is with your money. If you choose to spend $6.50 on a macchiato at Starbucks, then you can't invest that $6.50 into the market, right? Not like you would have, but you can't. And ultimately, that's something to consider when people come at you with opportunity cost is that other thing that you're saying I could have done actually something I would have done, right? Is it actually something I would have done? Is it actually something I would have cared about? By putting $6.50 into a macchiato at Starbucks, I can't save that $6.50 to put it towards something that I'm trying to buy or purchase, or buying and purchase the same thing, Nicole, or save up for, right? I could have gotten a $1.50 coffee at the gas station and had $5 available to save, right? That's my opportunity cost by making that decision. That is the low end. Now, there are some opportunities that are lost and missed that are actually more significant or of more value or feel harder, right, than others. So the low end of opportunity cost is simply, well, I could have made a different decision, right? On the other end of the risk spectrum is when what you risk is losing everything, right? Losing everything and then some. Losing what you invested and then some. You not only lose the time you put in and the money you put in, but also you end up losing your house or your car, right? That's the other end of the risk spectrum, is total loss and then some. Okay? And so every decision that you make, the level of risk involved falls somewhere between a minor opportunity cost and a total loss and then some, right? And so the first thing to understand the investment that you're making is what is the level of risk here, right? What is the level of risk that I'm looking at? How much am I really potentially standing to lose or miss out on by making this decision? Okay. Now, this is just wisdom, right? It's just about being smart. If you choose not to acknowledge that there's risk involved in every situation, then what you're saying is that everything's fine, it's going to be fine, right? Hey, Melissa, everything's fine, it's fine, everything's going to be fine. And that is that fear. I don't even want to acknowledge anything, right? You're basically saying that by acknowledging that there's risk involved, you're welcoming in the risk. No, you're just being smart, right? So that's the first thing when you're looking at any kind of investment is what's the risk involved? Am I just missing out on the opportunity to potentially have done something else? Or am I literally putting my entire world, my livelihood, my home, my family, am I putting everything on the line? Right? That's the farther end of risk, right? So where does it fall in that spectrum, right? And then everybody will have a risk tolerance, right? How much can you stand to lose? How much you can, how much risk you're willing to take, right? If you go from this end of almost no risk, right, which is opportunity cost, and you're like, I'm willing to go about here, right? Whereas other people might be like, no, I'm willing to go about here, if this is the other end, right? I can go to like here. And some people might be like, that's what I got, right? So what kind of risk is involved and how much risk are you willing to tolerate? You have to know that. I say this every single week, you guys. Awareness is the first step. So being aware of how much risk you're willing to tolerate is the first step, okay? That's the first thing. Now you're going to look at the actual investment itself. You can weigh pros and cons. You can weigh like, what would I lose and what is this and what is that, right? Like, what are the good things? What are the bad things? But I don't want you to do that. I only want you to look at the ROI. ROI is return on investment, okay? Not return of investment. I want to make that very, very clear here. Return on investment, not I get my money back, right? But what do I get as a whole because I invested that money or that time or whatever it was, right? Return on investment, meaning you should be really getting more on than what you put in. Does that make sense? So if you look at an investment and you're like, oh, well, I can make my money back. That's it. That's it. That's all you want? No, not return of investment, return on investment. What is the return that you are going to get by making that investment? So a great example is just putting money into mutual funds, right? This is an easy, simple example. The market has averaged 10 to 12% over the last 87 years, right? Especially in the last 20 to 30, okay? So that means that money that you put in now will grow by 10 to 12% every single year. So you get a return on top of what you put in, okay? In addition to, that's your return on investment, is that 10 to 12%, okay? Now, that's pretty straightforward. Putting money in the market, it grows. Sometimes it's not as straightforward. Sometimes investing your time in something gets you an ROI or a return on investment that's less tangible. It's a feeling that you get. But maybe that's a feeling that you desperately desire, right? So when you start looking at what's the ROI, what am I getting from this? What am I getting out of this investment? What am I accomplishing because of it? What am I feeling because of it? And is that what I want? Is that what I desire? Is that the thing that I have been aiming for? Is that what I'm trying to accomplish? Okay. So you've said, what is the risk involved and what's my risk tolerance? What is my return on investment? What am I actually getting out of this? Now, when it comes to my programs, the reason why I created this group program is you put that small investment in, and then you're not only going to probably find extra. I literally just got off a call with a client. We went through her cash flow plan strategy for the first time. And I'm like, so you have about $1,000 left. And she was like, what? Huh? Where? Why? Right? Because awareness, optimizing that cash flow strategy. And she found $1,000 a month. A month. That adds up It's $12,000 a year, in case you didn't do that math. What's that worth? I tell you, she did not pay me $12,000, right? What's that worth to you? To, to find $12,000 worth of room a year in your money, right? So what's that return? What are you getting out of that? And what's that worth to you? What is that worth to you, right? I have a friend who's a fertility specialist. She helps people with their nutrition, and she was way undercharging, way undercharging, way. When she told me about her package, I was like, oh, that's got to be, like, I thought of a number in my head. I was like, I would definitely pay this much for that. And she came back and told me a number that was less than a third of what I thought it would be. And I was like, you need to raise your prices, right? Because what would I have given, right? If I wanted a baby, what would I have given for that? So what's the return on investment and what's that worth to you, right? Now, again, can be as super straightforward as just what percentages are we getting back in the market? How's this stock doing? How's this fund doing? How reliable is that, right? And this is something I'll go into. I'm doing sneak peek. I'm doing a wealth building group program towards the end of the summer where we're actually going to talk about the specifics of investing in the market, right? But how consistently do I get that return, right? What kind of return can I expect? How consistently can I get it, right? And what's that worth to me? And it's so important that you think of it this way. So what's the risk involved? And when it comes to something like a group program, a coaching program, or a course, the cost that you put in, the time that you put in, those are the things that you have to spend to get there. There's some risk involved in that. What is that? What is that level of risk for you? Because the same amount of time and money can be this level of risk for one person and this level of risk for another, right? So it's okay that you're on that spectrum. What's the risk level and how much can you tolerate? What's the return on investment and what's that worth to you? Okay. I don't want you asking, how much is it? How much do I have to put in? How much time is it? How much do I have to do? Right? You shouldn't be asking any of those questions. Your question really and truly should be, for any type of investment, what am I getting in return? What am I going to get out of it? What do I get in return? And what's that worth to me? Now, I told you yesterday I would tell Kayla's story. My client Kayla, God love her, has paid off almost right around $400,000 in debt in the last 12 months. $400,000. Now, this includes the sale of her home, but even without that, she's paid off, I want to say, 150 plus in student loans in 12 months. And you're all like, how is that even possible? Like, how is that even possible? Let me tell you. Kayla got to a point where they realized that something had to give. Something had to give. They were not on a cash flow strategy. They were not on the same page. They did not understand how to manage their money. They did not understand how to spend less than they brought in. And between her and her husband, they were just not flowing. They didn't get it. And so Kayla made a decision. This was before she started working with me. Kayla made a decision, took a risk. That risk was, I'm going to leave my family and fly to New York City. I think she went to New York. She went to Boston for sure for a little while. I think she may have been in Boston the whole time. I'm going to say Boston. She went to Boston to be a travel nurse in the ICU during COVID. Okay. Kayla left her children and her husband in Japan and flew to Boston to be a travel nurse. The risk involved, not only just the risk of the heartache of having to leave her family, but the risk of working in a COVID ICU at the height of the COVID crisis this time last year. The risk involved in that was massive. However, Kayla knew that they were in a massive hole and something had to give. They were, including their house, $500,000 in debt. 486, I think she sent me, including their house. They did not have a shovel big enough for that. And it was scary. So she looked at the risk and she said, this is a pretty high risk. What's my return? What is the return on this investment of my time, this risk I'm taking? What's the return on that? And the return was she made a crap ton of money. I don't know if you guys saw in the news, travel nurses in Boston and New York were making $30,000, $40,000 a month. A month. Okay. $10,000 to $12,000 a week. Some places more. Okay. She took that risk. They started paying off loans very quickly. And then they came to me and they said, we still don't have a plan. We're still not on the same page. We don't know what we're doing. We just know that we have to pay things off. We have money. We have to pay things off. We got on a very specific plan. We worked through the different things that they wanted to accomplish. We worked through what happens when this happens, what happens when that happens, right? We worked through a cash flow strategy. And she emailed me or messaged me about a month and a half ago about whether or not to sell their house. They have a home in Colorado that they had renters in. We talked through it, talked about the numbers, talked about their goals, what they really want. I told them awareness is the first step. Get an appraisal. They got an appraisal. Turns out what they thought was about $60,000, $70,000 in equity was actually $150,000 in equity. And turns out if they sold that house, they would be 100% debt free. A year ago, they were $400,000 in debt. Because Kayla chose to take this risk, because Kayla chose to take the risk that was very scary in way more ways than one, they were able to move the needle so far and so significantly that selling the house became a no-brainer, and they're now moving into debt-free life. Now, they still need to be on a budget. They still need to have a plan for their money, and they will because they have me, right? But it was risky. And can you imagine what people thought? Can you imagine what people said? Can you imagine the stories that she told herself about how she was as a mother? Can you imagine the what ifs and the fears and the thoughts that took place as she started to think about taking that leap? Right? And now look at them. Now they've paid off $400,000 in debt in 12 months, which is insane and incredible at the same time. And her and her husband are on the same page about money for the first time in their entire marriage. They're communicating about money for the first time in their marriage. And they have a plan and they have hope. Not only did she take a risk and put her neck out there to go to Boston, but she took a risk on me as their coach to help them create that plan, to help them have that hope, to help them trust themselves with those money decisions. The house decision was very scary for them. That was their security house, right? Yeah, but now they're debt free, zero debt. And now they can buy whatever house they want, right? Now they have the room and the space and the freedom and the peace to do whatever they need to do. And I recognize that this idea of making $40,000 a month and therefore being able to pay off $400,000 in a year because you sold your house, that is a unique story. But the idea of something feeling like a massive risk, but having an incredible reward, that's not unique. It's not. We're all in that situation where there's something that we can do to take a massive risk to invest in ourselves and our future to get where we want to be. What's the return? What do I get in exchange? What comes back to me? What do I get to accomplish instead? And this is one of the major reasons why I created a group program, not only so that I could take people to that place of having a plan, right? Of having a plan and having hope and knowing what you're trying to accomplish, knowing a strategy for how to actually get there, getting you on the same page with a spouse, getting you on your same page with yourself, which is a huge hurdle too, right? Not only having a container where I could do that, but having one where the risk level of getting into that coaching was lower. Because in a group program, and especially in my beta, which is launching next week, the price point for entry is lower, right? Because it's a group program and it's the first one. This is literally the lowest point of risk entry to working with me that there ever will be, ever. And I wanted to create that because I know that there's some people, like I said, this investment for this group program might be a risk level of like, this much for some people, and it might feel like this for others. But I want you to understand that there is a point at which this level of risk is okay because of the return that you get. Can you imagine finding an extra $300-400 a month in your budget? Can you imagine actually having peace and hope for what's happening in your money? Can you actually imagine getting to your goals and getting where you're trying to be with your money and feeling amazing about it? Can you imagine being on the same page with your spouse? What is that worth to you? And what level of risk are you willing to take to get there? What is it worth to you? What do you get in return? And what level of risk is it worth for you to get there? Right? That's why I created Ignition. Ignition is for you even if you've tried other things before, because I'm telling you, Ignition is like nothing you've ever tried. This is us actually digging into your beliefs and values and how you feel about money in your specific unique situation and getting you excited about what it means to spend money, getting excited about what it means to save money, getting excited about what it means to be in control of your own money for the first time, not just seeing it go wherever it wants to go, but you getting to decide where it goes. This is unlike any plan you have ever tried before. And Ignition is for you even if the risk feels great, because the return on that investment. When you invest in this program, you're not investing in me, you're investing in you, in yourself, in your future for you and your family, and the things that you get to create with your money. That's what you're investing in. That's the return. The return is being able to pay off the debt that you've been trying to pay off, that you haven't been able to find the extra cash to pay off, that you've been completely beating yourself up over not being able to pay off, and you feel like you're completely worthless as a human because you haven't been able to figure this out. What's it worth to you to get on the other side of that? What's it worth to you when you feel like you finally are not living paycheck to paycheck, but you actually know what's happening to your money, where you and your spouse are on the same page about what your goals and your dreams are and what you're trying to accomplish with your money, where you agree on purchases, where you agree on where to save and where to spend, where it feels exciting to talk together about what you get to create for your family and for your kids. What's that worth to you, right? This is the case for any investment you make. What is the risk level? What is the return on investment? And what risk is that worth? Any investment you're going to make, this is the process that you take. And remember, you don't ask how much. You ask, what am I going to get in return? And what's that worth to me? Right? And I'm telling you, seeing Kayla pay off, like I cried. I haven't shared her story because every time I think about it, this is why I do this, is to get people from this place of complete hopelessness and feeling like it's impossible to overcome this mountain to a point where she's literally debt free a year later. $400,000, guys. That's no joke, because she was willing to take a risk. It's incredible. And I'm so proud of her. She did that work. I didn't go work for her in Boston. She did that. She is reunited with her family now, by the way, in case you were wondering. But she spent 9 months away from them. She took that risk. And it was incredible. It was incredible to watch. So this is why I created Ignition. This is why it's here. This is why it's launching next week, to not only give you a container that's actually going to get you to the place you want to be, but to do it at a level of lower risk tolerance, right? Working with me one-on-one for 6 weeks is a $3,000 value. This 6-week program that I've pushed into this group program is designed to be a $2,000 program. It involves a one-on-one call with me. It is going to be incredible. And it is yours for only $497. You have until Monday of next week to get in. I will drop the link in the comments, and I will also drop it in the description of this video. You have until Monday to get in at this price. What's it worth to you? I love you guys. You know I'm here for you. Have a fan-freaking-tastic Tuesday. Bye, guys.